Hey folks, and welcome to another episode of Hit Reviews with your host, Arlyeon. On today's episode, I'll be talking about Jesse Makkonen's Distraint 2, which I'd received a review copy for. Thanks! For those not in the know, this picks up where its predecessor left off, thrusting players in the midst of a horror game with a distinct emphasis on puzzle solving. Find out if Distraint ends up being a rich experience or one bankrupt of any enjoyment. It's really hard to make proper finance puns. Narratively, Distraint 2 picks up after the ending of Distraint, and I mean like right after, given that things start off with the potentially erstwhile Mr. Price giving mouth-to-mouth to a shotgun barrel. Suffice to say, things don't look so good for our protagonist, especially given that they end up abruptly waking up in a familiar yet surreal dreamscape. Unsure as to whether they're in a coma, purgatory, or maybe just hell, they find themselves setting out on a journey to seek out hope. And trust me, that last point is going to get iterated more than a few times over the course of the game, by the various characters you meet. Still, despite some on-the-nose naming reason, I genuinely enjoyed the game's story. Now, despite the grim beginning, I do find it overall less bleak than its predecessor, perhaps because the first game seemed devoted to chronicling the downfall of Mr. Price. That said, it does manage to squeeze in a number of genuinely dark and unnerving moments in its narrative, sometimes back-to-back with some quirkier ones for some extra mood whiplash. Now, when it actually comes to playing Distraint 2, it's not too complex, with the majority of your experience boiling down to puttering around some creepy hallways, seeking out how to progress further through the weird dreamscape you're in. By and large, your main bit of challenge will be coming from the game's puzzles, which are fairly varied in their nature, ranging from things as simple as finding the right item to interact with something, to more involved puzzles. Like one of those bastard 15-block puzzles where you're sliding pieces around, and surprisingly this one didn't take me an hour. I'm bad at them, I acknowledge this, okay? Now, whilst you're roaming about, you will end up occasionally encountering a rather spooky creature that you'll end up needing to hide from. But these are more akin to one-time scenes, and given that it simply restarts if you die, needing to engage in some rudimentary stealth is more of a break from the game's normal flow than anything that you need to be consistently aware of. I actually sort of regretted not needing to be a bit more careful about my running around. Oh, and the game is fairly generous in both its level design and save point placement, so there's never really any threat of not being able to find a save or getting overly lost. I'll start off by saying that I altogether liked Distraint's soundtrack, but an aspect that I found particularly notable was the manner in which it used audio cues to signal that a save point was nearby, which was altogether pretty useful. Also, I just really liked pitter-pattering around. I'm pretty easy to please, okay? For those folks who played Distraint, the visuals are very much in line with the original game, though I can't recall if you can tinker around with the film game option like you can in this one. In any case, Distraint 2 has some lovely pixel art, but also makes a fairly good use of visual effects to boot. Honestly, I didn't know what to expect when I picked up Distraint 2. I thought the first game had ended on a fairly, decisive moment. Yeah. Yet, it managed to pick up the story fairly neatly, and provided a narrative that was interesting and filled in some questions I had from the first game. Like, what the hell is the deal with that elephant? Plus, it was really fun to wander around solving puzzles and the like, even if the altogether experience only did last me an afternoon. In essence, what I'm saying is that if you were a fan of Distraint, or just a fan of puzzly adventure games in general, Distraint's a solid hit. You could even say it's well worth the price of admission. I have been waiting the entire review to say that one. And this brings this episode to an end, so I'd like to thank you folks for both tuning in and sticking till the climax. Whether you agree or disagree with my thoughts, or just have an overall comment, I'd love to hear from you folks down below. And for those interested in more indie reviews, or just interviews with developers, feel free to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so you can get notified when we have a new release. Lastly, Lovi will not forgive me if I do not say join our Discord, so join our Discord. There's a link in the description and in the banner, so you can become a part of our community and, nerd out with the rest of us Crit Hit Cauldron folks. Anywho, I'll catch you on the next episode of Crit Hit. Take care till then, folks. See ya!